Hey guys, welcome back to R&Dgarage. It is the midweek special. So if you guys watched Blueberry, you know that we pulled the tranny out finally. And so now what we're going to be doing is separating the case halves to see exactly what the heck is going on. So I hope you're as excited as I am to find out what happened. Okay, so super important first step. Once you have the tranny pulled, make sure to clean all the sleeves off of it. We don't want, just dirt roaming around, and that way it'll be super easy to spot any cracks, any weird spots that you might think is maybe irregular, and it'll just be really, really helpful. And also, once it's clean and we start to open up the tranny, nothing foreign will get inside. So again, super important. Okay guys, now we're finally ready to crack her open. The first two bolts I'm starting with are both 12 millimeter, and they're actually detent bolts. What that means is there's a little spring behind it and also a little metal ball as well as a washer. And so you definitely don't want to go full bore out with your impact wrench because, yeah. So I'm going to be gentle here and we're going to start. That's actually the whole tone with the tranny work, is be a little bit more gentle than you normally would, just because, she's a little more fragile. So let's get started. Okay, sweet. Okay, so you see there's the spring inside and the washer, and maybe we'll take a picture of this after. So we've got that, and it looks like the ball. Thank you. Go ahead. Woot! You guys know I love a good magnetic thing. Ah! There we go. So I'm going to put the ball in the cup, and now we're going to hit the second one. There we go. So as you can see, you're going to have to get a magnetic tool or something for the little ball because it doesn't seem to like to come out. There we go. Beautiful. And it's dirty. Moving on. Okay, so now I flip this around to the other side, and the next one I'm going to tackle is just a regular 14 millimeter bolt. And this one is right by the two transmission mount holes. There we go. Oops, I lost my washer, but that's okay. So, moving on. Okay, now we're going to take out the bracket right by the backup switch wiring, which normally, you don't really have to take off the bracket, but I don't want to possibly damage anything, so that's why I'm doing it this way. So it may be a good rule of thumb for you guys too. And they're a little bit longer. And did I mention they're 12 millimeter? I can't remember, but they are. There we go. Okay, and as you can see, it basically fell, but this looks good. Moving on. Okay guys, it's time to take out the backup light switch. So what we're doing with this, we're going to be using a 19 millimeter wrench, and we're putting it first on the nut to loosen it, break it, and then once it's loose, we also have to turn this at the same time, because if you let this loose and just keep turning the nut, the harness is basically going to retighten it every time you kind of check. So let's get started. There we go. Okay, and now, there we go. Oh, and actually, I just forget about this trick. So rather than keep using your wrench, you can do the little twirly gig here. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to take off this bracket solely because without it, or with it still there, we can't get to the bolt underneath. So let's go ahead and do this. Make sure it's in reverse. And these are 12 millimeter. There's one. There we go. And they're free. Okay, now it's time to take out this large plug. So I'm using a 1/2 inch adapter on my impact. So if that works for you, definitely do the same thing. And it's gonna make a rattle and it's gonna make this horrible noise, but it's pretty deep. So just bear with it, it'll eventually come out. Oh, actually it wasn't that deep. Okay, so now we're gonna open up these snap rings. And if you look in here, you can see 2 ears. There's one right there and one on each side basically. And this is already open up more than it should be. And so that may be a sign of one of Blueberry's troubles. But what I'm gonna do is stick these pliers in here and stretch them open. So we may hear a little pop or something to signify that it's completely open, but we'll see. Poor Blueberry. So I'm sticking them in between. Oof. And it's a weird positioning, but let's see. Oh, okay. So I heard something, but I don't think they're completely open yet. Actually, it looks like they are. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now I'm gonna take off all the 12mm bolts around the perimeter. I'm talking about all of these guys. All the way around, and you may need an extension like I already have on mine, just because some of the bolts like this guy will be a little bit hard to get to if you don't have an extension. So let's get started. Okay, let's zip these guys out. And my bowl is getting super full here. Something so satisfying about doing all this. Ooh, and that little bracket came off as well. Oops. There we go. Oh, that's not good. Getting cocky. Come on. I don't know why I just grabbed that extension. Okay guys, we're almost ready to crack her open. Okay, now we're finally ready to crack her open. So there's a couple things you can do to basically prep her for this. So if you have like a rubber-headed mallet or a dead blow, either one will work. Look for an open space on the tranny. Obviously, you don't want to hit any of the little rubber booties or around the holes here because you'll mess them up. But maybe on the flat sections, kind of around there. And so this is basically glued together with Honda Bond. There's no actual gasket. So now that I've hit it a couple of times, you should be able to slip this in to the tip here. Oh yeah, you see that? So this is coming off right now. Okay, we're gonna cut and we're gonna show you how this is done. Okay, so once the Honda Bond seal is broken, what you're gonna do now is basically lift straight up. Don't go on an angle, anything like that, literally straight up. So let's get this done. Perfect, oh look at that. Let's move on. Okay guys, so I should have said this sooner and I apologize, but I'm saying it now. When you first take your tranny out, don't put it face down on the concrete because the input shaft is longer and you won't be able to set it down safely. And so you'll notice we have ours on a dolly. And again, when you're taking off the case, don't set that face down, open side down, because it's super important that nothing gets messed up or, you know, accidentally bumped or anything with the edge. You want it as perfect as possible. Okay guys, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You can now see the tranny guts. So from here, I'm basically going to be taking off all the Honda Bond because you want a perfectly smooth surface. And once more, gloves are super important because this area is filled with burrs. You don't want to hurt yourself, you don't want to damage anything, and obviously it's full of like chemicals that you wouldn't want on your skin anyway. So I'm going to go continue and take off the Honda Bond because you don't want it falling basically into the tranny here, which basically I'm pushing right into. So there, you can see the thread. Boop. Here we go. Come on. Okay, that's off. And sometimes it can be kind of a little bit sticky, which it's supposed to be. There we go. And it goes all the way around. Okay, I'm going to continue to do this. You guys don't need to watch, so we'll move on. Okay guys, so she's fairly clean now. So now a couple of thoughts about the tranny herself. So I noticed right away that the fluid is dark, like it's seen some heat, maybe got burnt. We know from the beginning that she only had about half a cup of tranny fluid in her, so that probably contributed to that. But looking at it, I mean, she doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of people through here. Some of the teeth do look a little bit worn, but again, not maybe what's causing, you know, her tranny issues. Coming over here, there's a magnet. There's some gunk on it, but again, not a whole lot. If there's a whole lot of gunk on yours, it could be a possible reason why maybe yours isn't working so well. But again, this looks fine. So, okay, we're gonna have to dig a little deeper. Okay, so just to warn you guys, when you pull off your tranny case, you're going to see some lines like this. Do not panic, your case is not cracked. This is basically from the factory. Okay guys, just a little PSA. I've been guilty of the same. So this right here is the gear selector assembly. And you know when like you get mad on the highway or you just accidentally misshift, this is what gets bent sometimes when you do that. Now, I can't tell if this one is bent because I don't have a good one to compare it to right now, but it's definitely something I'm gonna look into. So again, I know we've all misshifted, but just be gentle with your clutch because the only way to tell if it's bent is what we all did. Take the tranny apart. Bleh. I can tell you guys right away what is wrong with this tranny right now, or at least one thing. This linkage shaft, that's a tongue twister, right here is bent. So this most likely is the cause of maybe either a shady mechanic or people thinking they could probably just do this in their driveway. Maybe they get a jack under it, trying to get it back in, and it just, yeah, it turns out like that. So that is definitely one thing we're gonna have to get fixed. Okay, so I apologize to all the people who work in the driveways. Nothing against that. That's how I started. Just talking about this in general, you don't want to use a jack. This is, you guys remember the pita pin? So basically, to get this out, you want to use a hammer and a socket to help support it, and that way you can hammer it out. Basically, tap it out with a tap. So again, you just don't want to use a jack. Okay, you guys, so basically this was just a teardown. This isn't the actual repair video. In the next video, we're gonna go ahead and replace the bearings, the synchros, check out the gear selector assembly, make sure that's still okay, and basically just run through everything and finally start to repair it. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this midweek video as much as I enjoyed tearing her apart. I want to thank you guys so much for watching R&D Garage, for subscribing, for liking, commenting, and sharing these videos. And I'm so happy that that these videos are helping you as much as they're helping me. Because, you know, every once in a while you start a repair and maybe you haven't done it in a while, then it's like, oh yeah. So anyway, I'm super happy with the way this turned out. So have a great week, and I will be back with more content shortly.